Welcome back, collectors. Today's piece is pure marble chaos in statue form. It's one of the most sought after and iconic interpretations of Deadpool ever dreamt of.
Turn the radio up for that sweet sound. Hold me close, never let me go.
No, not the dog. That's right, it's Sideshow's Lady Deadpool premium format, and it looks like she kicked a missile into my display case, sliced a bullet in half, and still had time to pose for the thumbnail. Let's do this properly. Lore, unboxing, detail, paint, and whether this is a grail or not, or just an expensive shelf waster. Now, let's get into it.
Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell.
I don't think you're supposed to say that.
But first, a little backstory. Lady Deadpool is one of those characters that could have been a throwaway gimmick and somehow wasn't. In the comics, she's commonly identified as Wanda Wilson, a Deadpool variant tied to Earth 3010. She lands in the wider Deadpool multiverse energy, where the joke is never just the joke, it's the mask. The humor is armor, the chaos is controlled. Her first appearance is often cited as Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth #7, released February 2010. That matters because it places her in the era where Deadpool's identities become I hurt, therefore I perform. Lady Deadpool keeps that DNA, but she's not simply a palette swap. She's the same engine with a different calibration. Here, we have the brightly colored, vibrant art box. No shipper for this one, it was purchased secondhand. Inside this box, we find just one simple layer with just a couple pieces. The base here is doing a lot of heavy narrative lifting. The destroyed scooter isn't just scenery, it's a joke with texture. The damage, the angle, the mid-action chaos that makes the whole piece feel like a frame from a very violent cartoon. Similarly, this base is identical to the original Deadpool Heatseeker premium format. The cracked flooring and color palette are almost indistinguishable, making it the perfect companion piece. What immediately stands out with this sculpt is how convincingly motion is frozen without sacrificing anatomical believability. This is not a stiff action figure interpretation. The body carries weight, tension, and balance in a way that feels mechanically plausible despite the absurdity of the scene. You can see the rotational torque running through the core, beginning at the planted leg, spiraling upwards through the waist, and resolving across the shoulders. The twist is critical. Without it, the pose collapses into theatrical exaggeration. With it, the entire composition feels anchored. What's particularly well handled is the musculature. Lady Deadpool is sculpted with athletic definition rather than hyper-exaggerated comic anatomy. The muscle structure supports motion instead of dominating attention. It reads functional, agile, and reactive. This is a sculpt that understands something fundamental about dynamic design. Motion is not created by exaggeration. It is created by tension, balance, and anatomical honesty. The firearm detailing reflects Sideshow's usual discipline with hard surface sculpting. Edges are clean, proportions remain grounded. There's a satisfying contrast between the mechanical rigidity of the weapon and the organic flow of the figure. It doesn't dominate attention, it reinforces the character. A visual reminder that Deadpool variants live comfortably at the intersection of lethality and satire. The katana becomes less of an accessory and more of a compositional backbone. It functions as a directional force guiding the viewer's eye through the chaos. The blade sculpt remains elegant, intentionally restrained. No excessive ornamentation, no visual noise, just precision. In a statue filled with explosive energy, the sword introduces clarity, a clean line cutting through visual turbulence. The scooter handlebars, although absurd, play a surprisingly important structural and visual role in the composition. At first glance, they register as environmental detail, but on closer inspection, they become critical to the narrative of balance. In a pose defined by explosive movement, the handlebars function as an opposing force. They visually stabilize the chaos, an anchoring mechanism that grounds the figure without the scene. Without this interaction, the sculpt risks feeling airborne and disconnected. With it, the motion feels controlled, directed, and intentional. This is where premium format design often distinguishes itself, not through scale, but through interaction logic. Every contact point carries purpose. One important transparency note for fellow collectors. This is the exclusive Lady Deadpool premium format, but my copy arrived without the masked portrait. Normally, that might sound like a drawback, but interestingly, Lady Deadpool is one of those rare designs where the unmasked portrait doesn't feel like a compromise. It actually shifts the emotional read of the entire piece. The masked portrait leans fully into Deadpool iconography. It's graphic, symbolic, instantly recognizable. But the unmasked portrait does something different. It humanizes the chaos. Suddenly, the madness has expression, the movement has personality, and the violence becomes theatrical rather than anonymous. And then there's Headpool, one of the most wonderfully ridiculous concepts in the Deadpool mythos. A zombified, disembodied variant head that somehow manages to be both grotesque and comedic. In sculptural terms, Headpool serves as an unexpectedly sophisticated role. It injects tonal contrast. Where Lady Deadpool embodies velocity, Headpool embodies interruption, a floating punctuation mark within the composition. Visually chaotic, narratively perfect. Deadpool's universe has always blurred the boundary between violence and humor. Headpool is that philosophy distilled into physical form. It's absurdity weaponized, horror filtered through parody, and as a display element, it acts as a secondary focal magnet. The missile interaction is where the sculpture fully embraces Deadpool absurdity, and yet it works because the anatomy commits to the illusion. The leg extension carries believable force. The contact point feels intentional rather than theatrical. This is dynamic sculpting at its best. Outrageous in concept, but convincing in execution. What elevates this piece is how every weapon feels integrated rather than attached. Nothing reads like an afterthought. Each element participates in the choreography of motion. The weapons are not props, they are structural contributors to the visual rhythm. And now we have the Comic Statues Unleashed special, the 360-degree rotational video and assembly video. You can tell what Sideshow wanted immediately here. Motion you can freeze. This isn't a museum pose. This is a snapshot mid-disaster. Like the camera caught her in the half second before the punchline lands. You've got the scooter base, the missile kick, the katana slicing the bullet, and the playful fourth wall attitude baked into the composition. And Sideshow leans into the Deadpool accessory logic, including a swap-out concept where she can kick Headpool into the scene with explosive energy. It's ridiculous, which is exactly why it works. This is a presence piece. It's tall, it's dynamic, and it wants to air around it. If you cram it between two statues, you lose the read. Give her a bit of negative space so the diagonals can breathe. The limbs carry beautifully distributed tension. The extended kicking leg feels elastic rather than rigid, and there's a subtle sense of stretch and counterbalance between the arms and legs. Each limb acts as a visual vector guiding the eye across the statue. Nothing feels arbitrarily posed. Everything feels mechanically interconnected. Fabric interaction and the surface behavior are excellent. The suit sculpt plays a crucial supporting role. The fabric tension follows anatomical logic, stretching across the thighs, compressing at joint transitions, and maintaining believable surface behavior. This is where Sideshow quietly separates itself from lesser interpretations. The material reacts to the body, not the other way around. So here's the verdict. If you collect premium format and you want a piece that injects pure motion into a shelf, this Lady Deadpool delivers. The pose is bold, the storytelling is loud, and the design feels intentionally too much in the best Deadpool way possible. Secondhand buyers prioritize condition on the sharp points and contact zones, because this is an edgy, heavy design. If yours is clean, she's a show stealer. Not subtle, not quiet. She's a shelf headline. And honestly, if a statue could wink, this one would do it while juggling knives. In a room dominated by masked characters, helmets, cowls, and armored faces, an unmasked Lady Deadpool can actually become more visually dominant. The eye naturally gravitates towards her expression. Faces anchor attention. So yes, my exclusive is missing the mask portrait, but honestly, I wouldn't call that incomplete. I'd call it curated.
Lady Deadpool is one of those statues that understands its purpose immediately. It doesn't whisper, it doesn't negotiate for attention, it arrives with unapologetic energy. What Sideshow captured here is something deceptively difficult to achieve in sculpture: controlled chaos. A composition that feels explosive, yet mechanically believable. Playful, yet technically disciplined. This piece isn't about subtlety at all. It's about movement, rhythm, and personality frozen mid-disaster. And that is precisely why it works so beautifully in a collection. From the anatomy to the gesture lines, from the environmental storytelling to the sheer visual velocity, this is a statue designed to break visual monotony, to inject life into a shelf, and ultimately, that's what great collectibles do. They don't just occupy space, they alter it. As always, until we meet again, keep your passion for collecting alive and your love for superheroes soaring.